So, you clicked on this video to hear about the high competition for the limited number of engineering roles. You've come to the right place, because it's very true. An engineering degree used to be a ticket to a high-paying career and job stability. Nowadays, the degree by itself won't do it. More and more people have studied engineering in the past decade or two, and you'll need a plan for how to position yourself to stand out and get an entry-level job after graduation. We'll dig deeper into the numbers later, but we'll also answer the question, why is there such a mismatch between the degrees awarded and the number of jobs opened every year? And more importantly, what can you do about this as an engineering student? Stick with me to the end of the video to ensure you can align yourself well to this challenging job market. So I think, like a lot of us who studied engineering, and for myself, because when I was going into college, I had continued to hear that engineering's in high demand, it pays well, and I believed that it would be easy to get the job after simply getting the degree, just coast through the degree and get decent grades, and it'll be easy to get a job. And I really didn't have a strategy for applying what I was learning while in undergrad or getting an internship so that I can stand out from the crowd in the competition for the job market, because honestly, I believed it was simply not necessary. And I was unemployed for a few months after college because of this. It was about 5 months, so not a horribly long time, but it was definitely an eye-opening experience, because I was unemployed a lot longer than I had expected. And I consider myself to be lucky that I ended up gainfully employed in the end, because I think a lot of people also don't quite make it out of that hole of not having experience and being unable to get a job because of it. And I managed to land something that kind of got me in the door. But it is a good idea to look at sort of the raw numbers, even just from a quick Google search that I did. So this Data USA site claims that there's around 43,500 mechanical engineering degrees awarded in 2023. And it does show declining very slightly, but so that's roughly how many per year mechanical engineering degrees are awarded. And then BLS shows if we do this 9% of number of jobs growing this amount by the number of jobs baseline around 293, we end up at around like 18,000 positions for mechanical engineer openings each year. And so just keep in mind, it's quite difficult to dig into the nuances of these numbers, where they came from and stuff, but so that is, at least on the surface, a pretty significant mismatch. This around like 20,000 or so compared to 43,500 degrees awarded, roughly these numbers. And keep in mind that a lot of the positions opened are not entry-level positions. So it is a pretty significant mismatch. And so it is worth considering the fact that we actually need to look at the opportunities as they really are, rather than what we kept being told about with there's so much opportunity in engineering. Because I think the supply of engineers has gone up quite a bit, because it does seem in multiple different fields and multiple different disciplines that there seems to be a cycle of there's a talent shortage for something, and people start going into that area because it's high wages and easy unemployment, because they say that there's a shortage. And then gradually, as more and more people go into that field, it becomes more and more saturated. So it seems to be this cycle that I would say engineering seems to kind of have been a part of. And we've definitely seen this, I think, with software engineering and coding in recent years, because there was a period of time, learn to code, and so many extra jobs opening, and such high salaries and high outlook, and they opened up coding boot camps to try to get more people in. But eventually it just got saturated, and especially with AI and stuff, which is a different topic, but I think we saw it with that field as well, that people went into it because they saw the opportunity, but it gradually gets more and more saturated. There's also an important question to ask of why do employers actually hire? So these numbers that we see of how many jobs are actually open, that's a direct function of employers' actual needs. Because employers typically don't enjoy hiring. They're not usually just looking around for people randomly just because they're like, that's part of what we do. And they're not usually just going to see someone's resume or accomplishments and be like, oh, you know what? We need to hire that person because we're impressed by them. I mean, if they actually have a need and they're impressed by you, then perfect. But that's the thing, is that they actually have to have a need. And this is where unemployment happens, is when there's a mismatch between the number of people with a certain skill versus the need for that skill. So if you have a skill set that's not currently matched with an employer need that has a business need for that skill set, that's where unemployment can happen. So if you think about like a time where you've had a need for something and you've gone out shopping for something, like if you've had to buy a washing machine, for instance, because your current one broke or something like that, or because you moved into a new place, like that's a time that you have a need for a washing machine. There is a lot fewer times where you're going to be like just see a washing machine randomly and you're impressed by it, so you're going to buy it. I mean, it's not like that never happens, but the one that you'd have would have to be pretty low quality in order for you to just decide, oh, I'm going to switch this out just because I'm impressed with this new one. It's the same thing with employers. They don't just like see someone and be like, you know what, let's hire them regardless of our business need. There has to be a business need. And so, like, in many cases, because of a mismatch between your current skill sets that you got from college or whatever and what the market's looking for, it may sometimes be necessary to pivot career paths to something that is in demand, that there's a shortage of, or that you can realistically fill a gap in. And it's challenging because it seems like you did a lot of hard work in college and in your studies that you end up not utilizing, but it is important to respond to the market and not get overly caught up in the sunk cost fallacy, because that's how you make money and that's how you earn a living in the economy, is by actually finding a match between what's needed and what you realistically are able to provide. So it's important to position yourself to fill a business need. If you have a strong interest in whichever engineering field you're going into, just understand what's needed in that field and position yourself to meet that need. Go above and beyond during your research on this and get involved in clubs and research projects and stuff to make sure you align yourself to that particular need. And also have a plan B and a plan C. And because getting an engineering degree proves you can achieve difficult things. So having extra plans and positioning yourself potentially for them can help you leverage yourself for positions in unrelated fields as well. I will say, like, you do need to be interested in whatever you're doing, because you don't want to hate your job. That's not really a sustainable path. But doing the thing that's like the highest passion of yours is not necessarily going to be lucrative. So my rule of thumb is, if you can enjoy something enough that you find yourself in a state of flow with it and not really thinking about time passing or whatever, that's like good enough, especially like if you can make money with it and if it's something that the market actually needs. So let's just answer the question of, with all this saturation that we're seeing and with the potential mismatch between engineering jobs and people graduating, is an engineering degree still worth it? It probably is a lot more so than most degrees, because we've seen a lot of degrees that don't really have practical uses for them and stuff. And if you do manage to get a fulfilling engineering job, you will be paid well for it. You'll have practical skills to market. You'll also prove your knowledge and versatility for other potential career paths if need be, because I mean, a lot of people do well getting into like the medical field or stuff like that with an engineering degree, and you'll typically be in a much better position than people who got more impractical degrees. And I will also say, like, one important nuance here with this data is that I think this data on BLS, for instance, does come specifically with jobs that are titled mechanical engineer. Mechanical engineering degree holders do hold a variety of positions, including like production engineers, tooling engineers, or like manufacturing engineers, quality engineers. Like there's a lot of different business needs that can be met with engineering degrees, even if they're not directly mechanical related. Employers will hire engineering degrees for stuff that's not directly mechanical engineering or directly electrical engineering. So that is one area where this data might actually be slightly off. But yeah, so let's talk about other possible options, because there are other possible options even if you get an engineering degree or if you just choose to study something else instead. All companies need business skills. They need marketing, accounting, finance, etc. And I think they do tend to hire mechanical engineers if they find the potential in them. So that can be a good alternate option because there's a lot more companies that need this stuff than need mechanical stuff. The medical field is very hot and it's resistant to market change conditions, and you can oftentimes get into this with an engineering degree. It might be more efficient. I mean, if you go into nursing, for instance, it might be more efficient to just start off studying nursing, but it is like an option, like for getting into the medical field or even into medical school, for instance. And there's also skilled trades, which I think some of the skilled trades are saturated, but a lot of them at least are AI resistant and needed in a variety of cases, and it's fulfilling work. So, I mean, there are a lot of options, and you got time to position yourself for them. So, it's important to take all these into consideration and do your research and find what could work well for you and position yourself for it. So, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe to this channel to continue hearing more advice about engineering careers and how to get into them. And thanks for the view. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope to talk to you soon.